Thursday, yeah, and happy happy top of the league still, it
Top of the
seems.
league.
Top of the league. We're just waiting on Dan here to join us, but while we're waiting, let's just have a little bit of a catch up. How you been? How's the new year? How's life?
Busy, 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 but really nice
Yeah.
to get a chance to unwind a little bit of the family and just with Kelly and I just being able to unplug a little bit, reset. Of course, I'm dry January as well, so some resetting from the body, mind, and soul perspective. But things are quite nice. Things are good, and the start of the year is going on quite well. How about yourself?
Good too. Just before that, you took some time off over Christmas, right?
Yeah, I took the 2 weeks off. So the first week was quite heavy with family stuff, which is quite nice. Just getting, buying presents for the family, just being there, doing the things, and just it was quite nice. The second week, it was just literally, I barely checked email. I barely did much. We just kind of just reset and vegged on the couch and did a few little errands here and there. But it was exactly what I needed after a tumultuous year for us. So it was really great. It was really great. How about you?
Yeah, all good on this side too. Getting ready to move in 2 weeks. So lots lots of boxes that I can see all over the place and whatnot. But yeah, feeling good, feeling excited for the year. I mean, obviously, the big thing on our minds, what we're talking about is Liverpool. And, despite obviously there being a couple of blips here and there, it's still looking like it's going to be a pretty exciting few months for us as
Isn't it
well.
right?
So,
Isn't
yeah.
it? I like
Yeah.
your I like that sweatshirt. That sweatshirt's quite nice. I like
Yeah,
that
it's
one.
I think
Yeah.
it's from the first year we did
Yeah.
Nike. And have you got the purple? Is that Liverpool as well? Purple one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah, yeah. I
purple one.
remember that.
But I
Yeah,
like that one. I was thinking about getting that one, but that's quite nice. That's quite
yeah,
nice.
yeah. Like it's like I mean, the biggest thing is Jake. We're sitting here in like minus something feels like minus something else. So like
Oh
it's
yeah,
just so warm as well. It's super
comfy.
thick and yeah. You know what? I know. We'll probably talk a little bit in a few episodes, maybe a couple of months down the line. We'll probably talk a little bit more about like Adidas and Nike and everything. But like whatever you think about the kits, and I know at times they got mixed reviews. I've personally loved them. Um, but the merchandise on the side of the kits has been ridiculously good with Nike, like ridiculously good. So, you know what? I'm ready for a change always, but at the same
Yeah,
time, I'm gonna miss some of that, like some of the like the sweatshirts, the tracksuits, and stuff like that's been done pretty well. What are your
yeah.
thoughts?
No, exactly. I think what's so interesting was like there's things that you can get online, right, and through your local
Hmm.
stores. But then like I always really enjoy long sleeve kits, right?
Yeah,
I like the balance between like I always like to have the keeper as the long sleeve one,
yeah,
but even the training kits, the black one and a few of the other ones, the long sleeve ones are only available in like literally Liverpool, like
yeah,
literally in Liverpool. Everyone else is you can't really get that stuff. But I love the products. Hey, Danny.
yeah, yeah.
Nice toque,
Hey,
bro.
hey, thank
I
you,
thought that was
thank
like a
you.
TTC toque or something like that at first, but
Yeah, it's
for a quick
still
second, quick glance.
part of that deal we did with
Oh, of
47
course,
brand. We got
47, yeah.
some pretty well. That's what we're talking about. Actually, we were just killing a little bit of time, just waiting, and we're just starting to talk a bit about merch and Liverpool merch and swag, not OLSC
Mhm.
merch and swag, which we can also talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah, so Jake, they never officially released the Nike long sleeve anyway. So even the people in Liverpool, if they've got them, they're actually player issue that they've got
Ah,
hold of, so
right.
to speak. Yeah, like Nike have never released our long sleeve jerseys, which
Really?
is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
We are live, Dan. We are. We had to start because it was scheduled.
Yo,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah, no. It just it went live, like as in because it was
Oh,
already
it just
set up
started.
to go live. Yeah,
Nice.
it went live.
Nice.
What I was gonna say though was, and again, we can definitely talk a little bit more about this in more detail in March and April, particularly with some of the stuff we know is cooking up in the background for OLSE Toronto. But
Mhm.
you're gonna have to be quick with the long sleeve
Oh
Adidas next year because
yeah.
they sell out. They sell out. Like they don't they it's all part of like yeah, you'll always be able to buy the Liverpool
Did Nike
jersey.
ever have that?
No,
Nike
no,
no, right?
they
Yeah,
never
never have.
released in. No, so Jake was
Yeah.
saying you get them in Liverpool, but what I was saying was they were never commercially released in Liverpool. People
Oh,
have them in Liverpool, but they're potentially like player issue and things like that. Whereas Adidas will have the long sleeve available, but you're going to have to be really quick to get them.
yeah.
So so it's a bit of push and pull. Like I guess that's part of their way of like making you buy the kit as quickly as possible, because like,
Right,
if you want the long sleeve version, particularly in the higher end kit, which I think you two both get, Jake certainly gets. I just get
listen,
the
I like
standard
them
one.
all. I'm not I like them all.
We know that.
What I can get, what I can get my hands on, like
Yeah.
basically.
Fair enough. But
DHL is like has a number, has like a ranking of their best clients globally, and like Jake, our El Presidente is definitely in the top 5 of that. Like,
listen, I like what I like. I love what
funding,
I love.
funding quarterly earnings, annual earnings, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Kate, and so Dan, how's it been? We had a quick little catch up. That's kind of all we were doing. How have you been? How's your Christmas? How's the new year? How's everything looking?
Yeah, good. 2025. Tough start for LFC or for Liverpool, but for me, no, it was good. Went on break, was in the States and actually in Orlando, and visited one of our sports clubs out there, LFC Orlando. Very, very nice community there. Just a shout out to Rob over there, who showed me around. Obviously, showed me some great hospitality and courtesy and all that. So it's nice to meet them. And obviously the result for the United match wasn't the best, but great support over there. Nice pub atmosphere. Reminds me of our old Scally's days. For let's remember those days. So it's nice. Yeah. So feeling a bit refreshed and bloody cold in the city we call Toronto.
I know. Yeah. So let's double click a little bit in some of the things you just spoke about. So, I mean, overall, you have to look at Liverpool's consistency so far. We are 20 games in. Many other teams have played 21. We've played 20 games. Would love to hear from both of you just some of the thoughts. The stats as they are is 14 wins, 5 draws, just that one defeat. We all know who that was too, because Anna reminds us every other week or twice a week if we've got a European game. But like, where is your head at? Where are your thoughts? Obviously, we're a bit ahead of early season expectation, but then now 20 games in, which is over half of the season. Where are you both at? Jake, I'll start with you.
I really it's very refreshing to say the least, where I love the tactician aspect of him, right, and his thoughts. So we played on a couple of games, we played relatively poorly. We've not hit the ground running, and then he's making some astute tactical changes at halftime, whether it's a formation change, whether it's like overlaps, and players, and it is making a hell of a difference. And we're not really waiting for things. Like we're like, I don't know if it's like the hair dryer at halftime or whatever the case is, but he's going through that iteration, and it is beautiful to see the results of that. And the players are buying into it even more so, because he's like, you know what, listen, and it's not just him, it's the staff, right? The staff is doing really, Johnny, like, I know he's the blue, whatever else, but Johnny, Tinga, whatever, there's a few of them, and they're just consistent in like the data. I'm going to say data, not Stan's world, but the data, and just making the changes, 3 at the back, 4, like the changes that are happening. Okay, you see the gaps, and I'm really enjoying just that aspect, because or we feel that if we're not doing well in the first half, and we've showed that we believe even more so that he's going to make a change and something's going to happen. And case in point, 5-second Diogo and just those types of things. And we've been on the lucky side in the second half, and even those games we should be winning, most of them or half of them. But I really like the fact that it's a refreshing piece, because when Jurgen, I love Jurgen to death, but we were just like, is he going to change anything? Is he going to just stick to the formation? Will he do things? And the tinkering, like in this first 20 games compared to several years of club, very, very different and refreshing. And it's just really nice to see and the players are just loving it. So, and I really, really love that aspect of the new coaching style and how we've taken to that. And it's great, and it's good to see. And I'm glad that stuff is taken into consideration and it's happening. It's great.
Dan,
Yeah,
anything
no,
to
it's been really interesting to that you say expectations, right? If you think about expectations, I think that's the big, that's the big word. That's the big thing that pundits and media and fans and everybody have, including the club and obviously the director and manager. But like, what's really interesting is that the expectations before the season, obviously new manager, Jurgen leaving, all that, were very, very like tempered. There was a bit of unknown, obviously, with the manager. But what's interesting though is that Arne put down an early marker, even early in the season. I remember, if you remember the, I think it was post United match, or it was maybe the match before that, where after that big win, he said, "You know what? You can't read anything into these sort of early season results. We'll see at mid-season." And he kept on stressing that, a couple of interviews, and I was like, okay, like, but then I guess his rationale, which is like, let's play everyone once. I mean, aside from Everton, we haven't really played everyone once, but he said, judge us then. And the thing that's changed since that, there's been the growing media sort of shift of like, Liverpool now just looking really, really slick. Controlled was the big word, right? Obviously the first few months. But it's funny that Arne actually, put that out there so that journos and pundits now use that as like the measuring stick, which is like, judge us now after that half season. And so we really, really, really fared well, and I think you just shared the stats. The interesting thing though is that like now the expectations, going back to expectations, is that now you're in it, and I think unfairly, but also somewhat fairly. I used to push back on this before, which was like, you know what, you're top at Christmas, you have a healthy lead, a game in hand, all that kind of stuff. So you should win the league, right? Like that's the classic. You should win the league, or you bottled it, right? Like that's the argument. I actually used to think that's super unfair. Why would you ever say that? Blah blah blah. Arsenal got painted with that. We've been painted that. City just win, so they never really get painted with that. But I think it's absolutely fair, and we have to be accountable as Liverpool fans to be like, you know what? Believe in yourselves, believe in it. And you know what? If you bottle it from here, you bottled it. Like you bottled it, and look, I'm as passionate, as positive as the next Liverpool fan, but I'm like, we've bottled leagues literally in the last match of the season at home, 89. I mean, I don't want to bring all that up. I'm just saying, like, we've been through a lot, the slip, all those kind of things. And it's really harsh to put those things out there. So we've had a really, really sort of bad, I guess, if you will. We're sitting atop the league, 4 points, match in hand. And the one last thought, this, or I'm running a little bit over, but it's
good. It's good.
No, it's like a lot of the punditry, especially in the Fulham match, in the recent draws, maybe not United, that's probably the odd match, but even this last one with Forest is like the way in which you play, the XG, the way in which you dominate bears well for the rest of the season, bears well. So more often than not, that's going to translate into wins and blah, blah, blah. The only thing with that, and this is, again, not being super pessimistic here, is that like results matter at the end of the day. Whether you win it like on a lucky Darwin flick, or you win it on 5-0 away at West Ham, a win's a win. 3 points is 3 points. So the only message I have for the two of you after this question is like, it's all well and good. XG is all whatever, and the deserved to win meter or whatever is really, really high for us. At the end of the day, we need to win. And Brentford is a must win for us. If we don't get the result and 3 points, it's gonna drastically, I think, change the narrative for us, because then we go into Europe, then there's the league, the second leg of the League Cup tie, so forth. Sorry, Azaz, I can tell you want to.
No, it's good. It's good. I really enjoyed that. So there's so much to comment on what you said. So about the bottle part, I don't disagree with you, but I don't care if we bottle it. Like I'm from my side, it's like, I want to win the league. I think we can win the league. I'm not out here hedging my bets. And then in May, I told you so to Liverpool fans, or to non-Liverpool fans, be like, oh, I was wrong after all. No, like, I'm not saying we're going to win the league. Like, that came so much later in 1920. I'm nowhere near there at the moment to say we're going to win the league, but I want to win the league. I think we can win the league. I think we should win the league. And to be honest, from here, if we don't win the league, yeah, arguably we bottled it. But like that happens, and like I don't personally need to hedge my commentary or talk or bet around the fact that we may or may not bottle it, or someone else may or may not say that. So with that in mind, brings to me the other theme, which, you know, has been in our chat before and stuff. And obviously I'm a huge proponent of this, what I'm going to say next, which is, you know, I've heard Anfield Rap touch on it. I've quoted them in our group and stuff. It's like, it is also now time to be Liverpool Football Club as well as a fan base. You know, I think everybody wants Liverpool to behave like, put their big boy pants on in the transfer market. Everybody wants Liverpool to behave, put their big boy pants on the pitch. Well, then the fans also have to do the same thing too. You know, like you can't also then be like, whatever you want to call it, melts or soft or however you can't have it all the ways, in my opinion. Now you can support Liverpool the way you want, but to me that bit of it is a lot worse than Liverpool bottling it. They give us so much, man. On even if they don't win, and this goes to any football team. Look at what's going on in the world right now, right? And I don't want to make it too political, doom and gloom, geopolitical. Look at what's happening in so many different places. And these organizations and these institutions, they give fans like real escapism on a multiple times a week basis. And to be honest, most of the time, particularly of the international fans, they actually don't even ask that much back, right? Like they ask you to wake up early, they ask you to buy a bit of merch and stuff like that. I understand that the demands on the local fans is a lot different, and it's a lot more contrived, and it's a lot more of a symbiotic relationship, 100%. But I do think that, like, just to wrap this up, just to go back to where we are, it's like, I want us to be Liverpool fans, you know, like I want us to enjoy the ride. I want us to take the piss a little bit, like, because the players have said so many times that they hear everything, they see everything, they let us know they're hearing it. I think the greatest example of this was Liverpool versus Roma in 2017, 2018. You know, like 17-18 was like the big breakout season under Jurgen. You know, earlier on in the year, there was the Tottenham game at Wembley, when I remember, you know, the Lovren game and stuff. And I remember people saying he might not even make it. And I remember sitting on a plane being like, do they actually think that we're going to get rid of Jurgen? Because we're not. Like, this isn't like we're fine. We're building. And then, you know, turn of the year, we sold Coutinho, we brought Van Dijk in, and we just took off. But 17-18, Roma away in the Stadio Olimpico, and the way the fans, Mane started it actually, and they jumped the hoardings and they were celebrating and stuff. And we knew at that point, they know everything about the fan culture already. And a lot of these guys had been like 1 year, 2 year pros. So of course they hear a lot of the negativity and all that stuff too. So that's what I would say there. It's like, let's go out and win the league. Let's give a proper account of ourselves. If we fall short, yes, from here we bottled it. Cool. Great. But like, I don't think based on that we should be, you know, like being shithouses about the whole thing.
So just a quick follow-up on that. Like just really quick. Do you feel that it's like, what part of our fan base? Because like, you know, any football club of our stature in our sort of realm of competition in Europe, let's just say, there's a healthy social media presence, obviously, and there's also pub going fans, like obviously we know at our pubs, and also how we frequent the different OLSCs around the world, that kind of stuff. But then also what, you know, the local fans, you know, so like, are you sort of attributing more towards like a general sense, or is it like local and a bit of social, or is it primarily social, or is it everywhere really?
I do think it's more online, to be honest, and I do think it's driven a lot by clickbait and all of the stuff. So what's happening is people are hijacking attention on social media and stuff, and what they do is, like, they put these things out there where it could be like Al Hilal have bid a really big thing for Mo Salah, and then literally everything implodes after that for the next like 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like Marka said Trent is signing, and like
Yeah.
suddenly I think it's everyone. I don't
Yeah.
personally think it's that much match going fans. However, John Gibbons, good friend of ours, and Anfield Rap like legend, did say that he wanted to go home during the United versus Liverpool game.
Crazy.
Yeah. He said he wanted to go home because of the abuse that Trent Alexander-Arnold was receiving. And like, it's okay to have a bad, like, listen, anyone who booed him, whether you're in the stadium, whether you're at our pub, whether you're watching at TV, as if you've not had a bad day at work. It's the 16th of January. I bet we've all had bad days at work already this year. Do you know what I mean? Imagine someone was on the side being like, boo, like you're not worth the money. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild, man. And these guys are young. These guys are young as well. So on the back of this, Jake, like, now we looked at the big picture, which was the 14 wins, just the one loss. But yeah, in the last 7 games, it's 4 draws, I believe. Like, what's your thought on like the little bit of the slowdown? Is this the blip that people were talking about, or because we're roughly matching Arsenal's results? Because I'll get, before you answer, just to play this out. So if we win on Saturday and Arsenal draw against away at Villa Park, they've not made points on us in the last 9 games. So sure, we've got the 4 draws in 7 games and stuff like that. But if they're not making any ground on us, is it a lack of form? Like, just would love your thoughts around that.
I mean, the points are points are points. I'm happy to get points regardless of the fact, and that's a key piece. Who knew what the season? Who knows what the players are going to be like, right? So again, you're talking about all these pressure points of what's happening, the impact of social media and just the negativity on the players, which is happening. You've got contractual things that are happening, of course, and you know, it's so hard to determine what a blip is, right? Is a blip we lost once? Is that the blip? Oh, we've got 4 draws, and so that's the blip. You know, we've had some challenges, of course, with the team. So, you know, we've got a few injuries here. And of course, I'm not going to harp on that too much because every team has injuries, of course, right? But I mean, you know, we're still finding our feet in certain aspects of things, right? So I think that I don't want to say it's a blip. It is some tough, you know, matches that we played, you know, under some interesting conditions. Like look at the rain, sleet. It didn't even almost happen the United match, right? Of course, it was a 2-2 draw, and it was what it was, and we had opportunities. We should have had better, you know. It just sometimes it's just life, and that's just football, right? I'm not saying it's a blip, but you know, as a fan that I love this so much, it does hurt to see draw after draw when we have like the corresponding fixtures from everybody else are going in our way in certain aspects, right? So Chelsea's losing here, and Arsenal's doing their thing, and you know, so you're like, oh my God, you're looking at the stats as everyone does, and you're like, okay, all right, here we go, guys. They've already dropped points, right? And they've dropped points, and there's a draw here, and like you're an unexpected result there, and then you're like, okay, shit, it's our time. It is our time right now. Let's go. And then you get in, and then of course in this last couple of matches, you're like, oh my God, it's a shitty first half, and you're like, then you start feeling a little bit of the pressure. Like if I feel like sometimes we feel like we're part of the squad, and we feel we're part of the team. We're like, oh God, okay, so then you know, even sometimes when we have a poor performance in the first half, the notion of our halftime draws, our energy levels are just dissipated because we're just like, oh Lord, like it's like 4 scored in the first whatever else, and then you're like, okay, now what? And so we do feel the pressure from those aspects, but a blip, I can't really quantify the blip, right? Are we in a very interesting form set? Sure, right? And I think that getting the points in difficult places shows the value and the strength of teams, right? And I think, you know, given the fact that we've had in and outs of certain folks and people playing in different positions, like Endo in center back, like you've got some interesting folks just playing all over the park. I think given the fact of where we are, I'm not going to call it a blip, but I would appreciate, you know, a few more taking of chances here and there to just solidify things a bit further. You know, our fan base is quite fickle at times, and you're right. Like, there's a lot of keyboard warriors around the world, and they They opine and they look for those sentiments. Like, okay, whether it's indie KFC chicken or whomever it is, they look at those pieces and they're like, okay, shit, here it is. We're gonna go and we're gonna run with it. And then that narrative, like, and then even in our own chat, fights happen, difference of opinions happen. People leave the chat, and then they become their tangents go all over the place. So, like, I mean, I'm a bit of an optimist from that standpoint. It's really heartbreaking to see them have that, but with all this said and done, right? 4 draws, 5 draws, 10 draws, whatever else, we are still fucking top of the league in the end, whatever else. And I am enjoying every aspect of it, the good and the bad for this, because, as you say, life is crazy, geopolitical things happening all over the place. And this escapism, as you say, it's not us. We've got new Canadians, new people coming to our country, and they love this. And our community is fantastic, and this is what we do, right? And so, from the blip perspective, sure, we've got a few draws. I don't care. We're still getting points. Sure, that the markers have been reduced because the point total is like 3-4 points. Okay, but from a blip perspective, this is good. We haven't lost except for that one time. We're continuing on. So it's hard to quantify what a blip is. I mean, I know you both have opinions on what a blip is, right? So, I don't know if you want to talk about this, Azaz. I don't know if you want to chime in, Dan. It's up to you guys what you constitute a blip is. But I just love the fact that we're fighting through adversity sometimes, right? Like, I'm going to say God, nature, whatever else, and things. And we just are. And to be going through those iterations of what a football thing, and that's growth, right? Winning and then drawing and whatever else shows the steel and mentality of the players, right? And so it's good to see and be part of that, cultural that nuance. Dan, you're on mute, bud.
So I was just going to say agreed. I was just going to say agreed to that because we got a lot of credit for going the man down like at home against Fulham. Actually, a lot of credit as well versus Forest, at least for some part of punditry and podcast scene out there, landscape out there. Like I just boil it down to just the overall performance. If and I think as I think you may have posted this or someone in our chat, which is like the cumulative XG for the entire league, and Liverpool is just like number one, obviously, but just by a wide margin. Now you could say, well, is that in matches where they were just told so totally dominant and expected whatever? But at the end of the day, like Rasheed Wallace would say in the NBA of yesteryear, ball don't lie. You know what I mean? Ball don't lie. And so if you put the ball in the net or near the net or on the post or on the bar, ball don't lie. So my biggest worry is if in the Brentford match, for example, coming up, if we don't start well, okay, that's generally the theme. Same thing happened last year, by the way. We were like the comeback kids kind of thing. But we have supposedly a more balanced, controlled squad. And if we don't start well, or if there's an early goal, that kind of thing, it just sets the sort of like the entire team, it feels like, gets a little bit nervy. And we grow into the match anyway, but I feel it just becomes a harder uphill battle, right? And so that's the biggest indicator for me is to like, how is Arne going to actually, for the rest of the season, flip the switch on the first half of matches? Because he's always going to make those sort of tweaks at halftime and or the second half, but like, how do you actually get them ready for that first half? And I think that's going to be a big challenge.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is obviously you play 38 teams, so you play 38 games, 19 teams twice. But when you play them and where you play them, there's a lot of luck involved in that, right? Now, the big thing I'll say about this week is, firstly, that's Nottingham Forest's biggest league game in years. The atmosphere was amazing.
Yeah.
They went 1-0 up. Yeah, kudos to them. Big kudos to them. They went 1-0 up. And then the next day, who is supposed to be our biggest title challengers, yes, they played a hard game because it's the derby, but they beat Tottenham 2-1. And it's the same Tottenham team that we beat 6-3, right? And they beat them 2-1, right? So already look at home, and we did it away. So like already you can already see that like when you try to play a team near each other, because they've got to still go to Forest away. Now, I do think the fixture list slightly favours Arsenal in the second half of the season, in that this year there's apparently even less away wins than normal, and Arsenal have got a lot more of the lower teams to play away from home. And that said, they've still got to come to Anfield, and they've still got to go to the City Ground, which is where Nottingham Forest play. So, yeah, I mean, from that perspective, is it really like, you have to wait till the 38 games is what I'm trying to say to see where everything nets out? Because if you tell me that was almost the same Tottenham team, and one team plays them in December and the other team plays them in January, the team that played them in December was miles better, you know?
Yeah.
So in the concept of ball don't lie, it's also a fact that our most wasteful striker is the fifth in the chart of missing the most chances for Liverpool, which means that there's four people who are having brilliant seasons. Three of them, at least, Jota's been injured, but Mo, Gakpo, and Diaz are having phenomenal seasons. Mo might have the all-time season, and yet he's missing a lot of chances. We're all missing a lot of chances, but to miss that many chances, we're obviously making a lot of chances.
Yeah,
so I do fancy us on the balance of play. The other thing as well is, though, like, I just look at the teams on paper and I'm like, I fancy our lads. Like, I don't think that we've got like the domination that we had in 18-19 over everyone else. I'm not saying we've got the domination that City have had over the last few years, but like, on paper, there's no way we shouldn't be getting a result at Brentford. The lads have to go and do it.
I agree with that point, but the only thing that has shaken a bit of my foundation in that thinking is that I think sometimes as Liverpool fans, and I think the rival fan base also acknowledge this, which are, we have about 4 to 5 world-class players at world-class, as in Ali, VVD, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say that the ones that are tweeners, right? So like the Trents, well, I mean, I think he's world-class. I think a lot of people think he's world-class, but then people beat him with the stick, like Roy Keane, stuff like that around, his defensive game. But the two that have really worried me in this last stretch, and again, this is nitpicking, this is like lost one match all season.
What
right?
this is what the show's for, so it's not
fair, but like it's like the two that are prevalent for me. One is no surprise, because I think the majority of the fan base also see it. Robbo, I think in a little bit of his sort of defensive game and or step, maybe have lost a half a step, but the big one for me is Ali since he's returned back. And I know I posted a couple of things in the chat, stats. It feels like whenever the opposing team has a chance, it just goes in, and usually in the first half. Like for this last stretch since he's been back. Now, whether that's being match speed, fitness, also maybe playing a bit conservative. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's fair for us to criticize in a healthy way his performance since he's returned. Like I feel like, I don't know what it is. It feels slightly shaky for me. And I'm not saying that this is like a massive thing, because not a lot of people are talking about it. But, if there's another string of sort of shakiness here and there, you may see like more and more of that narrative build up. And the tough part with that is that, Queef really, aside from that Newcastle match, really had one error, but he was playing brilliantly, right? So it's always a balance, and what do you do? Same thing you can say with Ibu when he went down, and then Joe came in, and but we're still leaking goals, but Joe was generally solid. So yeah, it's a good problem to have. I'm just calling out a couple of the, I won't say weaklings, but I mean weaker performances from the squad. So yeah, hoping that turns around, and just as you said, on paper, we're good.
It's difficult because we are the top scorers, and simultaneously we've got the joint second best record in the league for conceding goals. So Arsenal have conceded 19, and us and Forest have conceded 20. So anyone who's criticizing Liverpool at the moment, inside the fan base, outside the fan base, it is a bit nitpicky. It has to be by the very nature, because I said there's people missing chances, but simultaneously one guy's having an all-time season, two of them are having their best season for Liverpool and in the Premier League, and yet they've simultaneously missed so many chances. I feel nitpicky saying that. And on the flip side, if we're going to go at the defense, it's pretty nitpicky because it's the joint second best defensive record. The big thing is we're going to concede goals. We're going to miss chances. I think that's the big thing. From my side, it's like, let's see what happens this week. We've got the big chance to put a lot of scoreboard pressure on Arsenal because they're going away to Villa, and Villa seem to have a little bit of their mojo.
I think it's
back
at home for them, though.
well.
I think it's not at Villa Park.
No, it's Villa Park.
Is it Villa Park?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they've got a lot of home games coming up, and they've had a lot of home games. But this one is Villa Park under the lights as well. So and
yeah.
And the extra thing I would say about that too is Arsenal and Villa have to keep one eye on the Champions League as well. So that's the other thing, is that like they're not yet qualified, right? And that comes back to like, okay, so then Arsenal have a home game next week, whereas I think Villa might even be away. So that part of it is a big deal. But then they're going to go up against Villa without Saka, and no one else is really like, in December, Jesus was grabbing it by the horns, and like he's torn his ACL now. They've not bought a new forward, like they were so wasteful against Tottenham. Odegaard, a few people. Odegaard missed a penalty against Man U in the FA Cup. So I don't know. I think that like the Villa game is difficult. Villa have won 2 in a row. They had a little blip themselves, and Villa want to keep in touch with the Newcastle and the Chelseas, and like if it's going to be a top 5 this year, that's a really hard game for Arsenal.
And Emery too, right?
Yeah, of course. So if we put the scoreboard pressure on, if we win that and they don't win that, then we're back to where we were again 9 weeks ago. And they just don't seem to be able to like
push on.
Push on, and we've got to take a bit of the positives on that.
That's where the United match, I think, was the most irritating, put it like that, which is like they dropped points. You could really capitalize, but hey, what can you do? That's how football works. But yeah.
So Jake, looking back on Saturday, looking forward to Saturday, sorry. So obviously we're back in both of the pubs because last weekend we weren't at E&C. You think we'll have a big turnout for this one?
Yep. I think every game moving forward is a turnout. I think because we have great community in Toronto, a great community, in the west side of things. And to your point, the escapism with the January Blas and the January Blues, that you get to see your comrades week in and week out. Everyone's gonna like look for all of that stuff and be part of it. And it's really beautiful to see that when they come to the pub, these people are making friends from all over the place. They're hanging out outside of the match days, and they're talking to each other. They're supporting each other when they're ups and downs, like with mental health and a few other aspects. So it's great. I think every match moving forward, knock on wood, we continue to get results. And if that's the case, then it's going to continue to get packed and continue to get busy. And it's not even just the weekend matches, right? Like weekdays, during the week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, like they're busy, right? They're quite busy. And so it's nice. It's a nice problem to have, right? So it's really, really nice. And so now we've got Saturday, right? So now we've got Brentford on Saturday. So for me, that's my actual local. Like I was born right around the corner from there. So that's actually my local. But of course, I've got my allegiance to LFC. I think they've got some really interesting attackers, really interesting pieces. I just need Brian Mbomo to kind of fall down or whatever the case is.
Or they save him.
I think if we I'm not sure. Hopefully everyone's okay. I don't even know who's going to start up front now, but that's going to be a very interesting match, and I'm looking forward to it. Right, like I'm looking forward to it. Who's not looking forward to this weekend's? Right, I don't care what time it is. It's just a great vibe, and especially when you, Izaz, and Mo are doing the lineups, and it's just the whole vibe is great. We've created such a great product and a great community, and it's wonderful. And I can't wait, because that's some of the highlights of my week, coming to the pub, seeing all my family, going to see everyone, and just watching like 2-3 hours of fantastic football, right? So it's great. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend for sure.
I was going to ask you the community as well in Burlington has been really great this year as well. Just want to call them out too, and shout out to Danny as we call him, but Jackie and the folks there too. It's been a great sort of record turnout this year as well. So just want to shout them out, and there's a lot of new Reds coming out there, and also just to spread the love. It's January love. We're going to spread the love to LFC Kitchener, who don't have official status, but also just they've been out there on their social media and seeing a lot of new Reds there, and obviously at Durham as well. So like just within the GTA, if not a little bit extended, our extended family, it's nice to see. So happy.
Did you see the Yeti cooler that we gave away this week?
I did not see that, but
beautiful. It looked $700-800 product.
Oh wow!
Last month we gave a 43-inch television away.
Jeez, what are we?
Cooler, like it is. And there's more things to come. Like if you see this golf bag, oh Lord have mercy. There's a few, and of course with the help of Azaz and Dan, we've got signed merchandise like there's no tomorrow. Like you'll see the next couple of months of just fantastic things for the community. So just keep your eyes out. But it's all for Brentford. It's
Brentford. We are gonna start the wrap up. Before we do though, there is that magical contract word we need to talk about. To be honest, I think the one, if we were to do a show in 2 weeks, it'll probably be all about the window, because clearly there's some pressing issues that we need to talk about. But let's talk about this on a weekly basis. Just want your takes on the big three, and is there any business going to happen for Liverpool this month?
Does Richard Hughes exist? Or
yes,
yeah. Is he like one of those like AI generated? Yeah, I don't know, man. I like this kind of stuff should have been really sorted. Now I get the trend thing, but I don't know, or if they're trying to do it all at once, and maybe that's what's holding it up. But I kind of feel like the longer it goes, it's just even for the ones that we actually think, Virgil and Mo, even though they want it, like there's still nothing there, and it's just more and more that. So maybe I'll put the question back: would it derail our season? Because that seems to be like the one question that comes out. Liverpool top of the league, all this kind. Can it derail the season or not really? Just want to throw it out there. Just the contract stuff, not injuries, not but just the constant narrative. Do you think that could actually do it? Because last year at the same time we had I wouldn't say the same thing, but it was contractual. Like Jurgen was leaving, a lot pinned it down to that whole thing, and the players carrying that with them. What do you think?
Like we're an emotional club. That's all part of being it's all part of being the Liverpool, being Liverpool. I think the thing is, I feel at this point you just have to stop the questions coming by getting it sorted one way or the other. My opinion is we shouldn't let anything derail this. Anything. Like, I don't think we should let contracts derail it. I don't think we should let like draws and first leg win defeats derail it. I don't think we should let anything derail what's happening at the moment. Things are opening up. We've got the lead. We've still got Arsenal to come. Like I said, by the end of the weekend, we could be back to square one, and they still have to come to Anfield and all that jazz. We've got an Anfield leg against Tottenham, who probably won't have that many people back within 2 weeks. FA Cup, again, we've got another game that we should be winning in a couple of weeks. And we're top of the Champions League. So the fact that we would be having a conversation that anything can derail this is actually really frustrating, to be honest with you. But I don't think we should let anything derail us. And when I say we, I mean everything I was saying before. Like, I think there's the club, there's the players. Players are on the pitch. Club is in the boardroom and in the training area. I think the fans are the people who are able to like radiate a kind of narrative back to the club as well. Like, if everything is always going to be negative about everything, then clearly, like we've said, the fans hear it, the board hear it. Are they going to panic and do something? I don't know. I kind of feel like it'd be really cool to have like this is unrealistic, obviously, but it'd be really cool to have like a little bit of an amnesty and just be like, listen, let's just go and win number 20 and see what happens. Because arguably, if we hadn't won Champions League number 5, Stevie wouldn't have stayed anyway. And he even says it on the pitch after the game where he says, how am I supposed to leave this?
Yeah.
You know, so technically speaking, I don't really think we need to even like let anything derail it. But obviously it's a lot of wishful thinking on my side. Clearly there are bigger forces at play. Jake?
I think that what happens about us? What happens if you're 6 months into your last contract, right? You've got significant others, got wives, girlfriends, families that are talking to you or whatever. They're asking about I know they don't have to worry about their livelihoods, right? They're well taken care of for generations, but it's topics of conversations inside the house. What are you going to do, Mo? What are you going to do, Virgil? Right? Trent, honey, what's going to happen? Where are we going to go? Are we staying here? You want to go there? You want to go to Ali Halal? You want to go this? You want to get this? You want to change the weather? What do you want to do, honey? What do you want to do? Where's your heart at? And just those internal conversations. We're not talking about club. We're not talking about agents. We're just talking about family conversations in the house being like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with our family? Where do you want to take us? What do you want to do? Where do you see things? Just that pressure aspect it can be immense, right? Of course, contract's huge. How much money are you going to make? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? But just from a family perspective, it's tough. Your children, daddy, where are we going to go? I want to stay here. I want to go there.
My friends,
my friends, this and that. Like that's some heavy things that people go through all the time, and they're not immune to any of that stuff. So it's going to be quite interesting to say the least. But they're still with us, right? And they're still with us, and hopefully they continue on for the next several years. Is my hope. I think we should sign all 3 of them. But of course, I'm not Richard. I am not FSG. I'm not the board. But let's see. Hopefully, we still got to hope.
Don't you feel? So I think it's a good point you bring up about the family. That same family aspect, like I think one of the things that Coutinho has said even after in interviews, now he's in Brazil and all that kind of stuff. Like when, there's like the famous club, sort of statue quote and all that. But like there was also that sort of camaraderie that he had with like Bobby and some of the different squad components, like Moreno and all those different sort of players. But like it feels like if you watch training, and again, it's.
You stuck?
Yeah, he just cut out. We'll come back to that. Oh yeah. So Jake, last thing. Thoughts? Are we signing anyone?
Yeah, I think so. I think we get. I think we do. If those rumors for left back, right back, all those things. I think we're gonna get a bit of cover somewhere. I think it could be some young cats here and there. I don't know if it's gonna be first teamers. I'm not 100% sure there's first teamers. I don't know what first teamers are out there that could supplant what we have now. I think we'll get some nominal pieces, maybe one good piece to kind of, I'm not sure to augment which aspect of it. Is there going to be a defense? I think we'll get someone. I think it's going to be surprising. We've had a lot of good signings. I think you said in the chat, Swart, like tons of really good good players in that window segment, right, for January. I know everyone's always opining for summer and like, oh, come on. But January, we've done some really good business. So I think we'll get something because, again, financially, I think we're doing okay. So we'll get someone. I think some guys may come out as well. Some juniors may get some big contracts out, and we may get some money for that. Do that, but I that's my gut. We'll get somebody. I just don't know who that is. Or what do you think?
I don't think so at this point. Like, obviously, we are a team who's able to just like randomly on a Tuesday be like, hey, this person's coming in by the end of the window. But yeah, I feel like just when we have everyone available, and we've been pretty lucky with injury, touch wood, this year, we can't even get everyone on the bench. The other day, people thought Nunes was dropped. He was suspended, but people thought Nunes was dropped because we had Chiesa and Jota on the bench. So it's like, so what are we going to buy another forward? Harvey gets no minutes. Endo's been phenomenal when he's played. as a centre back, but he's also not let us down as a 6.
Right.
So I think we've got the right number of people. I don't know if they're the right number of people for like next season. Like I definitely want to see 3 in, 3 out, or 2 in, 2 out, or I mean we might have 3 out that we have to replace at big money. So should be careful what we wish for. Love a signing, but like I just feel like at this point it feels like Anna has got a bit of a rap. Oh, Dad's back. Anna does have a little bit of a rap on how to keep people a little bit fitter than other people do, unless it's an impact injury. And I don't see it. We've got a great goalkeeper, great reserve. We've got 2 right backs. We've got 2 left backs. Arguably, one should be playing ahead of the other one, but we don't need to get into that. So Joe Gomez is injured, but yeah, Endo can cover back. We've got enough midfielders that they're not even getting minutes. Like Curtis isn't getting minutes if Sobo's playing. Harvey's had no time. And now Chiesa looks like he's back. And then we've got Tyler Morton. We've got Dan's, we've got Rio. Neoni's not played. I don't see it. Like where? Like who would we buy? I know the clamour for left back, centre back. I get all that. But just being practical, I don't see us doing it. Would I want to sign a left back or centre back? Sure. Yeah, I would. Sure. Do I think we will? No. Do I think that's negligence? Not really. Mm-hmm. But it could prove to be. So then, like, would we want to do a little piece of business because maybe Gerald's not having the season he was having last season? Maybe. Just call Dr. Joel, man. Just get Matip back in and
I know, right?
And make it work. Yeah.
Inspector Gadget. Yeah, I would love something like that. For sure.
Cool. Well, that's it. We're back on the horse. Hopefully see everyone on Saturday. And then obviously there's a Champions League game as well. Just keep an eye on the socials, on the newsletter, loads of stuff happening. As Jake said, loads of big giveaways and prizes coming up in the next little while, as well as raffles and auctions. Did I miss anything out? No, not really. Have a great Friday and see everyone on Saturday.
Come on, up the Reds.